Alright, so we're live. So everything you just said doesn't matter, don't kidding. Alright, so want to do the chairman first, since we actually did not cover that last time? Because we couldn't. It's not yet. Despite thinking we did. So, yeah, so for those who don't know, Chris Roberts, the founder and head of the Star Citizen and Squadron 42 projects, actually, after months of silence, I think the last time he made any type of public message was the Sandy and Chris kind of like tuning in video they did. That was 10 months ago. So, and we finally got word from him. And that's when we learned that 318 is going to be delayed. That, which we all kind of saw coming, given how late 317 came out. We also got Road to 4.0, server meshing, and all that sort of fun stuff. They talked about the year in review. So, COVID 2021's new. 2021's new COVID variants caused more lockdowns and delays. Manchester, UK's office first to reopen, followed by Austin, Texas, then Los Angeles, California offices. Working remotely while flexible was slower for development overall. Despite 2021's challenges, much was accomplished. We got Xenothreat, docking, Invictus, Jav, Tor, Orison, and more. Massive community growth with daily active user count increasing by 50%. Focus on Squadron 42 development and release. 2022 growth may break 500 million and over 4 million accounts. Game vision continues to expand to be more immersive. And then a thank you to all backers. Followed by a bunch of other stuff like Road to 4.0. 4.0's aiming for a Q4 PTU this year. I don't think that's going to be the case, but let's say they're aiming for it. And that will include Pyro and 3 major tech implementations.
Yeah, but they also kind of define that 4.0 is no longer what it originally was.
Right.
In the sense that they originally were saying basically when we get Pyro, that's going to be kind of the unofficial 4.0 release. But now what they're saying is essentially 4.0 gets pushed down the road, and they're going to go for a 3.3 instead of 2, or a 3.2. Sorry, because right now we're on 3.17.
We're on 3.17.
3.17. So the next iterate, they're basically inserting a 3.2, X, and if necessary, depending on what they get from that 3.2X feedback playtest, there may be continuous iterations of that, or at that point they may then finally actually get to 4.0. But that's what they were inserting there, is like, we have to get this go. Sorry, go ahead.
Just to clarify here, I'm fairly certain that Pyro is still going to be the 4.0, but the reason they're pushing it off is that they are not going to. The idea is that server meshing and Pyro are coming at the same time.
Yeah, there's no point. Basically, there's no point in bringing Pyro in if they don't have server meshing, because now you're basically creating two systems that can't function. So they want to get server meshing done in Stanton because it's one system. Once it's proved that it's working, then you get 4.0, which is that Pyro.
Yeah. And in the interim, they said that they would have a 3.7.2 patch with extra content and stuff like that along with it.
Yeah. So basically, where 4.0 is on a hold until they can make sure that they've got the server mesh, and that's what's going to take the longest amount of time. Which I thought was good that they said that.
They expect that the testing, they're going to have to do extensive long-term testing on it, and they expect it's going to take quite a while. So they're not going to meet the 3-month patch target to get 4.0 out. That's what they were saying.
Yeah, I think
they're going to take their time with Evocati and PTU phases to try to iron out as much of the problems, because I mean they were very honest when they said that since they have so many changes, it's very likely that server meshing is going to cause some significant problems when it first comes out. So it's going to take quite a bit of time play testing with large groups for them to iron all that out before they're willing and ready to release it into the PTU or PU.
Yeah, I agree that it was really good to like get this subject out there, and the fact that they were talking about pushing timelines was good info. But I also still think that even saying it's going to take longer than 3 months, I think that's a short-sighted assessment. I would not be surprised if it took 6 to 9 months for them to get the real data that they need.
They said clearly that it could slip to first quarter of next year. So I mean, they're being pretty open about it.
Yeah,
and that's about 6 to 9 months away.
Okay. I might have fixated on the 3, them saying it'll just take longer than the 3 months. But still, it's like I said, it's going to take a while. But it's good. I agree. It was really good that they said, they started talking about the topic and setting the expectations of, hey guys, this is going to take a while. So that was good. I mean, overall, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but encapsulated, I thought that this whole thing was really good. It was needed, and we needed to hear from Chris Roberts, and the size of the content was good. The only negative that I had to this thing that pops out at me, I'm sure I could find some others, but the one big negative is basically Chris just needs to stay away from any wins.
Yeah, because how many times does he say something? It's going to be X, and it never is.
Yeah, and I don't fault him for it. It's not like I'm saying, he's a liar. It's just we all know somebody in our immediate friends or family circle who is always overly optimistic about things. Like they say, oh, I'll be ready in an hour, and it always takes them an hour and a half, or I'll be there at 10 and they always show up an hour later. Like Chris is just that kind of a person. Like he gets his timelines wrong, and it's not ill intent. It's just he's optimistic. That's my take.
Yeah, it's kind of like glass half empty, glass half full, or glass that is too big for the amount of liquid you have.
Yeah. But yeah, they did a good job on this one versus some previous ones. Like you were saying earlier, Mando, the last time we heard from him was him and Sandy
10 months ago.
A year ago.
Almost a year ago, yeah.
That thing was, to me, it was kind of just a fluff piece. It was
literally, the video was literally called just checking in. It wasn't a huge thing like this.
Yeah.
The last time we had a letter of the chairman update, sorry to cut you off, but the last time we had one was years ago. Just to show how significant this is.
I thought they'd pretty much just continued doing it. That's how long it's been for me. But
I thought so as well, but I guess here we are.
Yeah.
So we got the road to 4.0. They go over about tech needed for 4.0, like the persistent entity streaming, server meshing. What was the third one?
Well, I thought one of the really big things was when they were talking about like all the account stuff and the player base. Like, this is the first time we've actually gotten like data out of them, which I'm sure there's some massaging that's been done to attain some of those numbers, but in general, I thought they're pretty positive. Like they're at least they're not drastic negatives of like we're losing player base or anything like that. Like
all
the numbers that go ahead.
No, you finish.
No, it's just it's good that it was good to hear some of these numbers, because it allows us to have an official accounting I don't know if that's the right word to use there, but we get a bar. We see a baseline of what they're talking about instead of just, because up until now, the only numbers that you've been able to get are very vague numbers off the website, which that website is problematic for numbers in general. I mean, just look at the ship matrix and the data that's presented there. Like, it's just,
but
we don't even know what they're telling us. We don't know if that number is a made up number or a number from 10 years ago, or like it just, that website is not trustworthy. And so to have some of this data in the letter from the chairman just creates a nice maybe baseline to kind of go, okay, so here's where we're at. And to me, that's the first time they've ever provided that kind of data in this format. And
well,
I thought that was good.
If you ever go to the development and then go to funding on the RSI website, it does show you how much funds are raised and how many accounts are.
But there's lots of questions that it doesn't answer.
Not accounts, sorry, how many backers specifically. But that's the thing, I don't know if it's actually backers or accounts, because it says 3.8 million Star citizens. Does that mean backers
are those
or
multiple
accounts
per person?
Well, even if it's that, it's just how many. Is it backers? I mean, like, okay, this account spent money and actually crowdfunded, or is it just how many accounts? Because there's probably, I feel like there'd be more accounts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is none of that is answered. Is that, are they accounting for, when they talk about how many accounts? Are they talking about individual people accounts? Or are they talking like are they counting a person who has bought 5 accounts? Things like they just don't answer that kind of information.
Well, if it's 5 different accounts and each account has spent money, then it will count as different accounts on this thing.
Yeah, they shouldn't differentiate accounts if they're paid, even if it's the same person. That doesn't matter.
No, what matters is
I'm not arguing how they do it. All I'm saying is they don't clarify how they're going about counting. In other words, they're not. It's kind of like when somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I did a poll of 100 people," but they don't specify who, like, what criteria that 100 came from. Like, you can get data to say anything that you want, depending on how and what questions you ask.
No, listen, I tried to get data to say whatever I want, but he just doesn't always listen.
But that's all I'm getting. I'm not arguing, how they should or shouldn't do things or anything like that. I'm just saying that the data that they provide still leaves a lot of questions.
You want more information and you want more specifics with the data, and I'm all for that as well. I'm just, as I'm saying, like, I don't know is this 3,825,713? Is that backers, like accounts that have then bought a game package, and if or is it just accounts? I'm leaning towards it's probably just actual backers, like guys like us who actually bought a game package with an account. Because I feel if it was just an account, it would be a lot more. But the numbers here do actually match up with what Chris said in the letter to the chairman, because what did he say? He said near 4 million near 4 million accounts and $500 million and almost $500 million in crowdfunding. That's almost 500 million. That's almost 4 million. So I guess he says accounts, but yeah, again, is it backers or is it just accounts?
My interpretation there is they say accounts, so they mean just accounts created, not necessarily paid.
All right, that's all I want is that specification.
And that's fine, but then that also raises the question, think about like all the free flies that you have to create an account for that. So are they counting, people who created an account, flew one time and never came back?
Probably.
Like that's the kind of data that it'd be nice if they told us how they're reading that data in that sense.
It would be
nice to. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. Like, I'm not saying they're lying or anything. I'm just saying,
you're just expressing that you want more categorization and details with the want more. Yeah. Okay, this is how many. Like it says. Okay, say it says 3.8 million. All right, but X amount are backers. X amount are just accounts that that are just regular accounts. Like they haven't bought anything. They came into a free fly or whatever. Yeah. And then like just have a categorization of the percentages of that number.
I'm curious, do they have two different numbers? One, because I know they've said accounts in some places and they say backers in another. So backers, clearly people who have pledged. Accounts would be people just made an account. So
Right.
on the website, does it say accounts or does it
On
say
the website,
backers?
I have it on screen right now, it just says Star Citizens. It's the 3.8 million Star Citizens.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
That'll
probably
probably
just
count.
accounts.
I think so. Especially since Chris says over 2022 growth may break over 500 million in crowdfunding and over 4 million accounts. So, and given that the numbers here, that seems accurate. That by 2022, yeah, by the end of it, probably going to be 500 million, especially during IAE, and the amount of citizens is probably going to be breaking 4 million. I guess that's accounts.
Yeah, I mean, what they provided is, like I said, it's good. It's good to get that kind of info. I wish they would do more of that. That's all. I wasn't trying to imply any kind of negativity. And
No, you just wanted more
you know,
details, and I think we all want that. So
yeah,
they do also have a telemetry page where you can actually see client FPS data
Pineapples?
from every machine playing Star Citizen every hour.
On the hour.
but yeah, it was good to get the info. That's all I wanted
was.
to get out.
Yeah, like we got the relative.
The COVID stuff, I kind of, I don't know. It's how do I put this? I'm hearing from like with the community that there's a, I don't want to say large, but there's a size of the community that is saying, oh, that's he's just using COVID as an excuse, blah 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 blah, and it does to me. I don't think you can say it's an excuse because it does have an impact. Maybe it's not as big of a reason, but at the same time, talking to a lot of people who, not talking to, but you know, having experience with groups of people who are very much into intellectual trades, you will get mass agreement that personal interaction really fuels that thought process and the creativity. So to me, it makes sense that you're developing a game, having a bunch of people in a room, even if they're working on different things, just being able to interact with each other directly instead of like what we're doing over over Zoom calls. Um, it's much better for the creative process. So I think
Oh yeah.
I think there's some truth to it, and I think the people who are saying it's an excuse, maybe it is, but does it matter if it helps the product? What he's saying is, hey, I want to bring people in, I want to get the offices, staff. That if that's better for the game, who cares?
I would say that most of the people who are making that argument that it's just an excuse are not creative types who've never really worked on a project before.
Right. Agreed. Also, you also got to keep in mind too, especially with game development, from what I can tell, it is definitely one of those jobs because the whole COVID thing has definitely shown us that not every job you actually need to be there for, but jobs that are like gaming, you don't have to be there in order to do things on the computer. However, being there makes it more efficient and faster, and also allows you to be more creative. It allows you to brainstorm with the people there versus I gotta call them and do this, hope they're not like there's when you're right there with someone, they're not busy, I can just talk to them, versus when you're not in front of their face or you're not next to them, you don't know what they're doing, so you don't know, like, can I call now? Like, yeah, I need to call them, but they're not busy because they're doing something else, or I want to call someone else because whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things not taken into account.
The best analogy that I heard that kind of encapsulates the idea or the concept that made sense to me was I was hearing somebody else talking about the whole connectivity, COVID, and Zoom calls and all this stuff, and they said, imagine a band. Imagine you've got each musician plays a different instrument, but the whole point is that you all get together and you start kind of thinking along the same lines, but you're all doing it in a different way. But when it works, you create synergy, which creates a song that everybody likes. Now
Synergy.
imagine a band trying to be creative over a Zoom call. It just doesn't work. Like,
Yeah.
the drummer doesn't hear an off tune from the guitarist while the guitarist is in the room tuning his guitar, not even trying to play, but just tuning his guitar.
We're like,
And that
hey, something
triggers
feels
something in
off.
the
Maybe you should
drummer's
tune it
head,
this way. Yeah.
and he goes, hey guys, let's deviate this way. And everyone goes, hey, wow, yeah, that works. Like, you can't do that in a Zoom call because the guitarist isn't tuning his guitar on the Zoom call. He's already ready to go, and he's just doing exactly what what the song, the what's written on the sheet is for him. So that's, to me, that explains how creativity only works if you're in person.
I think the best example that they gave about a workflow in the office was when they were talking about trying to track down bugs, where you can have somebody go to the station of somebody who's working on it right there and say, hey, this is the problem I'm having, instead of having to try to figure out how to make a video of it, record it, email it to them, or share it with them, and then they try to figure it out. It's just being able to collaborate.
Or screen share, whatever, team viewer, all that stuff,
Or if anyone's ever tried to actually file a bug report and you're sitting there typing out all the procedures to get to the point that created the bug, and you've now got, a 600-word fucking paragraph, just to get to that point, versus walking over to the guy's shoulder and going, okay, go here, now pull out this weapon, now try and do this, and right there, see what happened? That's it.
And it's the same thing for, like you're trying to help someone. It's like, for a more, I guess, relatable aspect. Like, you say you're playing a game with someone, you're on the console. Okay, it's the same thing. Like, hey, do this, do that, and then you can do this cool trick, and then they do it that way versus having to explain to them over the phone. Like, are you seeing this?
Yeah.
Are you seeing this page now?
Trying to teach somebody an exploit over the phone doesn't work.
No.
What, you've never played phone tag before?
It's like teaching your mom how to hook up a stereo, right?
I'm old enough. I come from corded phones.
Yeah. Do you see the cable? Do you see the outlet in the wall? No. Do you see the outlet? It's 2 prongs in a little circle. Do you see?
But it's so. Getting back to the beginning. I like Dada was saying, I disregard those people who are saying it's an excuse, because those are probably people who are not creative minded, and that they're the fat guy sitting in mom's basement, drinking Yoo-hoo and Pop-Tarts and going, shut up, Mom, I'm playing my game. They've never seen the outside world, so
Mom, meatloaf.
They've never had to interact intellectually with a group of people before.
Interact.
Anywho,
intellectually. Oh no.
Now I've created a fan base that hates me, but that's okay.
Oh, please. So we got the road to 4.0 stuff. Persistent entity streaming was one of the techs that they need to get done for 4.0, for Pyro to be implemented. So that's needed for server meshing. It offers full persistence of items, chips, and players. The example that they've talked about in the past, like 2 years ago, I think it was, and set the same example again here, and that was, you were, say, drop a coffee mug or a med pen on this random place on the surface of a moon, say yellow, and you just fly away. Assuming no one went over there and picked it up, you come back, say, a week later, it should still be there. Like, that's the level of persistence they want to have.
To me, that's the game changer that makes Star Citizen different from every other game out there. And when I say every other game out there, I mean, like, not just MMOs, but just everything, because there is no other game out there that has the size and breadth of the universe, and has that persistence you're talking about. That's what sets Star Citizen apart from me.
Another thing.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
it's part of what is fundamental to Star Citizen. The dream is, being everything being physicalized in the sense where you can just put something somewhere on a moon, leave it there, and then come back and get it, as long as nobody else has been there to collect it.
And that's
Or
part
even,
of
bury your loot under a rock, and then you go back and you tell a friend about it, and
and he
goes,
can go over to get it because exactly. Essentially leaving messages for people that way, and that's the type of thing where it's okay. Now you can make a gameplay out of it, and again, it's called the persistent universe. Like this is a core mechanic, a core structural element of this game. So yeah, it's important they get it right and they get it done.
and
Which is
when they do it, it's not just gonna be unique for Star Citizen. Like that's gonna change the whole gaming universe.
yeah.
You'll see everybody doing it.
Well,
EA.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know about that, but they're gonna aim
I'm
for
just
it.
picking random names of game companies, but what I mean is the gaming industry overall will see
It will
the
reflect in
benefits
some
of this,
capacity. Yeah.
and it's going to echo out throughout the whole gaming genre, and you'll see other companies creating their own persistent universes.
I've talked to people already, telling them, "Hey, look, this tech that's already in Star Citizen right now, like just in 3.17, it's been like this tech has been there since 3.0, but the tech is like the tech that we have in Star Citizen right now can allow for a larger." And I'm not saying that every game has to be super large because sometimes smaller and more quality is better than quantity. But like for instance, say like a Spider-Man game with a full 1-to-1 scale New York City, Star Citizen's tech right now can do that.
Yeah.
I assume like I'm not saying like it has to be the whole planet and like no, just like the skybox and the map, like the entire game is just a 1-to-1 New York City, so all 5 boroughs. They can do that with Star Citizen tech right now.
And one thing too, with in terms of other companies using this kind of stuff, they could also very easily go and say, "Hey, we're going to go and license out."
And that's
especially now
another
that
source of revenue
as
for
far as
them.
I know, they wholesale own their branch of the engine, like they fully own it. So that right there would mean they could go and say, "Hey, we'll go and lease this out to companies if you want it. So we've already done the hard work for you of creating this thing. All you got to do is build shit in it."
Yeah, that could fund
Hey.
the PU for 10 years, and then you
Yep.
don't need to have account buying and ship buying, just to keep the game running.
I mean, they did say they're going to get rid of the
Imagine-
ship buying the second the game goes live.
Yeah.
That is, but no,
Yeah,
you're
we'll
absolutely
see.
right. It's
But
another source of revenue.
Imagine Respawn Games, for example, building a Star Wars game off of
God.
the Star engine.
Or as I
Disney
mentioned, a
would go
Spider-Man
nuts
game.
with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
or say something like a Spider-Man game that has a full New York City instead of just here's
God damn it, Mando! Stop interrupting.
Mando's on he has a one-track mind for Spider-Man. Okay, we all know this.
I just want an accurate New York City in a video game. That's so much to ask.
But yeah,
No, but
I agree with all you guys are saying. Just it's whether or not worst case scenario, even if Star Citizen for some reason in the future something happens and it's unsuccessful, the things they've already done are game changers for the community, for the gaming community, not just Star Citizen community. If they get this server meshing thing, and I don't care if I'm using the wrong terminology for it, but we all understand what we're talking about. If they can get this persistence meshing working, that drop kicks the whole gaming industry into a whole new generation of gaming possibilities. So it's huge, and I'm willing to wait. However long it takes them to do it, I'm willing to wait. That's my soapbox.
I would say that in many ways, Star Citizen is already having a big effect on the industry.
Agree.
Yeah, it's making a lot of people leave the rest of the industry to go Star Citizen.
Well, that's not what I meant.
I'm just making.
In terms of the kind of games that are being produced and the quality. I think that the bar has already been set high, and it's just going to keep getting higher.
Yeah, I don't think Starfield would have happened had Star Citizen not shown that there's a want for this large universe idea.
Yep.
So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Successful internally. Persistent entity streaming, which was persistent stuff we're talking about. Back to the topic at hand. It was successfully tested internally last week. So we're talking 2 weeks ago now, but they actually had it working.
The fact that they're testing it in-house already is a good sign.
Yep, and the fact that they had it successfully tested was a good sign. The other tech they needed for Pyro is Gen 12, the Gen 12 renderer, which has been implemented to an extent in Alpha 3.17, and of course Alpha 3.17.1. But a complete graphics engine replacement with a multi-threaded and efficient, and allows for the best use of modern PC hardware. This does mean that you're going to need even more powerful machine to run Star Citizen, but it also means that it's going to be offloading, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is going to be offloading the CPU resource management to your GPU, right? Or is that not, that's Vulkan, not Gen 12? Which one is going to be offloading stuff from the CPU to... I never remember if it's Gen 12 or Vulkan.
Is a more efficient code base that will utilize Vulkan better.
Yeah.
Like it has more what's the word I'm looking for? There are more things you can use in the Gen 12 renderer, like the way they're building it, to make better use of what Vulkan has to offer.
Yeah, I think it's kind of I don't know the technical terms for it, but I think it's kind of a it allows more diversity of... It allows your computer more diversity on how it best determines to handle the information that it's being given. Instead of just saying, your CPU has to handle everything, it allows the computer to kind of go, I'm getting fed a fire hose stream of data. I'm gonna take stream A and I'm gonna use my CPU. I'm gonna use stream C through my GPU, kind of a thing. That's how I interpret it, but I could be totally wrong.
Well, there are some threads that have to be run on the processor and some on the GPU, and you can't interchange those. But the Gen 12 renderer makes much better use of multi-threading of your CPU. So higher CPU counts are going to see more performance increases over lower core counts. But with the Gen 12 optimizations, where they're able to take some of the things that were only on the CPU and then move them over to the GPU, that will improve performance for systems that have a really strong GPU, but maybe like a mid-tier CPU or an old system. So overall, it's going to be a performance benefit for most people, but there are going to be edge cases where either your GPU capped or CPU capped, and in that case, it's not going to do anything for you because you're already at the limit of what your system can handle.
I'm glad somebody knows it.
Yeah, because as I said, I didn't even know I'm not sure what the difference is, which is which. I'm not my expertise is on the hardware, not the software side of things.
Well, they did an Inside Star Citizen on the topic, so...
They did, but it was a few months ago, so I need to rewatch it.
Yeah, I recommend anyone who wants more in-depth, accurate information to go get the information directly from CIG instead of...
Yeah, it is honestly, that's why I have on the screen right now, so...
That's Data's way of saying, there are books on Chinese, go read them.
What's the old saying? Read the fucking manual? RTFM?
Every time you hear information that someone heard from someone else, there's a very high likelihood that it is not the same information that came from the source.
True.
True indeed. But the last tech... Boop. The third tech they needed for 4.0 was server meshing. There's a good video on that too from CitizenCon last year, right? No, I'm just it was a CitizenCon video, not in our Inside Star Citizen video, just so people know what to look for. I think it was CitizenCon. It's literally called server meshing. the video.
I will add one thing though. When they talked about this, they basically, they fessed up that they were going to go a certain route, and they realized it wasn't going to allow them to do what they needed it to do. And I believe in the letter they say that they figured this out about 2 years ago. Now, what they say in the letter is that, because once they figured that out, they then said, okay, we're going to have to go about this a different way. And that's what we're seeing now, is they're developing this other, path B. And that's good, but I think they should have said something earlier to us instead of just kind of going silent about it, because it's been a while since we really heard anything good about it, or not good but tangible. This would be one of the little nitpicks that I have, is just, and again, this is that whole communicating with a community thing, that when they figured out that it wasn't going to work, they should have said something. Maybe not gone, okay, this isn't going to work. Now here's what we're going to do. But at least just said, hey guys, we were trying to do it this way. We realized that there's some problems with this. We're going to have to, we need to go back into the bunker and come up with a different plan. I would have appreciated them saying that, but that's, like I said, that's a personal nitpick. Go.
So
Dennis.
from where I'm sitting, I think they've done that. Like when they had to change the floating point system from 32-bit to 64-bit, they were very clear about when they needed to do that, and that was way back. And that was when they realized that what they had wasn't going to work, and they were letting the community know some of the changes they were going to have to make along the way. They may not have had like a full roadmap, because maybe they didn't have a full roadmap of the changes, but from my perspective, I think they've done a very good job of explaining why it's taken so long, because of all the extra bits of tech they've had to develop from the ground up to get what they want to make, or to be able to support the universe at the scale that they're trying to create it.
I would disagree somewhat.
Go ahead.
Just because there's so much stuff that it feels like, oh, hey, we need this to do it. Okay, cool. Okay, hey, we're almost done with this. Oh, we actually need this to do it. Okay, cool. Okay, and that text I was like, oh, we actually also need, and it's just like, come on.
Okay.
That's how it's kind of felt from my perspective.
There's all systems that are built on top of each other, so you can't have one functioning and just, oh, now it's going to work. You can do all this stuff now, but we're still working on this, and when we plug that in, you can do all this other stuff. That they're all intertwined. So one system isn't good. It's foundational to all the other systems working. So they all have to be built and be working together to get like the final project, and which is in this case is the persistent state.
I want to clarify, because I understand what Dad is saying, and I agree with specifically what he said. What I'm more pointing my focus of attention on is not so much that they haven't told us how do I put this? My frustration isn't that they didn't that they're not keeping us informed. It's this one specific topic of, because originally it was going to be, it was server meshing. Now in this letter, we're learning that it's actually called something completely different. I don't have the document pulled up in front of me right now, but I believe it's like PEQ or something like that, or PES.
Yeah, persistent
terminology.
Persistent entity streaming. We were just talking about it earlier. That was the persistent stuff.
Right. So, but that's for the sake of this conversation, that's essentially server meshing too, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or not server meshing, but it's the second iteration. And all I'm pointing out is they never actually told us path A isn't going to work. This is the first time we're hearing that they're actually calling it something different, and it's a path B. That's the only thing I'm fixating on it. Everything else, I think Dad is right. They've done a good job of, like, you know, talking about the tech and what you're talking about with the 32 and the 64 and the floating points and stuff like that. That side of it, yes, they've been good on. But this one specific thing that's at the core of kind of like everything else working, they kind of kept quiet about it. The fact that, hey, it's not working for us. That's my interpretation. That's all I was getting at. I could be wrong.
I guess I'm just giving them more the benefit of the doubt. I don't think they're hiding anything intentionally.
No, I agree. I'm just saying it'd be nice if they had told us that about that one specific problem. Like I said, this is me drilling down and focusing on one little pinpoint. Overall big picture, like I said, I think they're doing a great job, and I thought that this overall letter was good info. So this is me nitpicking. I'll get off my box now.
I think some of that is probably due to most of the community not really caring about the back end work. They just
True.
want to see ships and pretty things.
Where's my Scorpius?
Yeah.
True. You get a good point there. Okay. Driving on.
Yeah, that's pretty much everything they need
Hey,
for Pyro. Yeah. That make me feel guilty every time I interrupt you.
Oh wait, one more. No, go ahead.
I'm just muting myself. No, but we have yeah. So the persistent entity streaming is needed for server meshing to work, and obviously they need server meshing in Gen 12 in addition to PES for Pyro to actually function. So that's why they're delaying everything and having this new layout. I actually hope we kind of see a new patch format layout from them, because it's been a while. Like, we've been going for this every 4 quarters a year, 4 patches each year type thing. And I'm not saying it's not working. It's just maybe something new is needed, something better, if they can do that,
I think they would be much better structured if they went to a 4-month cycle. So
instead of 3.
Not quarterly, but what do you call that? Anyways, a
Trimester?
4-month windows trimester, a trimester cycle, I think would benefit them. But I also think no matter what they do, they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't from the community, because a third of the community is going to complain that it's the cycles are too slow. If they went to the trimester system, a third of the community would complain that that's too long. A third of the community would complain that nothing should change, everything's fine, and another third of the community would have option 12 that they want the CIG to go down instead. Like, it's just there is no satisfying the whole community. But from a business and management model, I think they would give themselves more leeway if they went to that trimester release process. But that's something that I've thought for a long, long time. I think they have a kind of a proven track record that the 3-month doesn't really work, because they consistently put out the patches pretty much at the very, very end or the beginning of the next quarter. They've been doing that for what, 6 years now. Like, they obviously need more time.
They started doing this format after 3.0, so that's 2018 would be the first year that they started doing this. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's again, it's going to be the same problem with the community, which is I'm getting less content on a regular basis. Complain, and So I don't know if CIG is going to change it. Just because why create more pain for yourself if you got a system that maybe not, while not perfect, is, it lets you do what you need to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think the problem may stem to also like they want to get more content out more often, but the problem is they can't meet those deadlines. And even if they could, you're not getting as big because we're not talking about a live service game here. We're talking about a game that's still in development. So the patches are just further building out the game. We need those patches to actually help complete the game, not just here's a little bit of content to keep you guys going playing until the next patch. It's here's new features and stuff that we need testing so that we can start working on the next features so that this game can be complete at some point. There's
only so much peanut butter that they can create in a year, and it's, do you want that peanut butter spread across the whole, spread out across the whole year, or do you want it in big lumps?
And sorry, also, I would say that I want to say probably 3/4 of the work that's being done right now is for Squadron 42, which they're keeping a tight lid on for reasons that I appreciate. Mm-hmm. So that's also another reason why some of the features that we want to get are not out yet.
True. That is a good point that I wasn't considering, and yeah, Squadron 42 has a huge impact on everything that we're seeing and what they're capable of giving us until they figure that out.
I'm worried to where you were going with that peanut butter analogy, just for the record. Like, were we spreading peanut butter on what? No, that's not that.
It'd probably end in a jam.
Oh.
When a joke becomes a dad joke, right? When it becomes apparent.
Actually, data brings up a really good point that I hadn't gone down this offshoot, which is, I wonder how much Squadron 42 is going to be impacted by this info that's coming out of the letter for the chairman, because you notice that he does not get into Squadron 42 at all, as far as specifics. So
I imagine that
it makes me wonder if they're going to push. Like, is Squadron 42 still going to kind of continuously be pushed? Because I think we can all agree that it seems like they're pushing for next year with Squadron 42.
They're definitely grinding to get it done. That's for sure.
Right.
I mean, Squadron is their next big milestone, right?
Yep.
Once they get out the door, then that's going to silence a lot of the detractors that say this is a fake, it's a scam game, blah, 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 all that bullshit.
They're going to do it endlessly.
And it'll also bring in a lot more revenue of people that, oh, wow, look, there's this game that's in space. You can do all these amazing things. I'm going to get it. So
it's not a lot more revenue. It's actual revenue. Because right now they're still relying on crowdfunding. Even the ships you buy and stuff, that's still crowdfunding. You're just getting something out of it. Or further stuff out of it, aside from the game eventually.
True.
But now they'll have a full product they can actually sell to make revenue, which will be huge.
The point is, it's a double win for them.
Yeah.
No, I'm agreeing. I'm just, it's definitely something that, and we know they've been trying, like, they really do have to have something to show for Squadron this year, because it is 2022. It's 10 years since the Kickstarter. And like, guys like us are like, if they can't get it out, obviously, understanding. But like the detractors are going to be like, oh, it's been 10 years and they still have nothing to show for it. It's a scam. They're doing it endlessly because why change the milk? Why do anything?
Screw the detractors. They're just children who are angry all the time at everything. So just ignore them. Let them go yell in the corner. We'll
Stop
play
calling
the game
me a child, Data.
You know what you are. Go sit in your corner.
I'm just curious if the delays that they're talking about in this letter are going to have any impact on the release. Are they going to hold back Squadron 42 until they've figured? Not. I'm using the wrong terminology. Will what they're trying to accomplish with this PES cause delays is a better way to put it. Cause delays. Not that they want it to, But will it cause delays with Squadron 42 is the question that I guess I'm getting. And I don't know.
I have no idea.
I think the bigger question is server meshing required for Squadron 42, or is it a PU specific thing?
That's
I don't
the
know.
next step that I was thinking about, but I don't know enough about Squadron 42 to know if it has that knock-on effect or not.
Go ask your buddy Astropub.
That's the next domino in my thought train. Absolutely.
But yeah, I was thinking that when you guys were talking about the Squadron 42, like what elements of the Squadron are like what element of what they mentioned in the letter of the chairman are necessary for Squadron, or is it just PU stuff like server meshing, and all that aspects? Because we don't know how open world Squadron's going to be.
I'm also leaning towards no, but then again, look at how fanatical Chris is about the PU, the experience of Star Citizen in general, and I'm separating Star Citizen and Squadron 42. So look at how fanatical Chris is about, the realism aspects of the PU. I would not be surprised if he has that same mindset, even if Squadron 42 is a, for lack of better words, an encapsulated gameplay experience. He may still be going, no, we need, if somebody drops a coffee cup on this asteroid, it needs to be there. Like, even though it doesn't have anything to do with the storyline, is that mentality bleeding over to 42?
I can see why specifically the persistent entity streaming could be used in Squadron, because but the thing is, I don't know how open world Squadron is going to be. I doubt it's going to be like the PU. But I imagine there's going to be some elements like, okay, you leave a gun there, so because you have to come back or circle around for this mission, so that when you go back, that gun is still there. Like, I can understand doing something like that, right? But
that's also a lot easier to do as an encapsulated game, because it's a finite world. It's Skyrim. You dropped an axe in that forest. The game goes, I'm this small sized map. I can place a marker there, no problem, and I'll remember that and load it back in when you come back. But
exactly,
that in an MMO, there's so many other, that's a spider web of knock-on effects and so on.
It's a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. So that's
presumably Squadron 42 is going to be run on your machine locally. It's not going to be server based. So
okay, so
all of that should be stored on your hard drive and in save file, just like everything else is.
Got it. So it's going to be a 500 gig game,
but supposedly we don't know for sure. But way back in the day, Chris Roberts again opening his mouth. And not saying that this is gonna be, but one of his original ideas was that you would also be able to play Squadron 42 with your friends as multiplayer, in the sense that they can join you in your missions
and do a co-op campaign. So, it's like you would in other co-op campaigns.
So that might be I don't know enough about the game mechanics. That might be a tie-in where they do need some of that persistence capability for you to be able to, multi-associate with other people, because we don't know. Like, can you bring one person in? Can you bring a whole team in? Like, it's unknown.
I'm hoping for something like that. They kind of limit it just to make it a bit more in a traditional gameplay, just for Squadron at least. Because Star Citizen, you want to do all the team stuff. Star Citizen, where the end goal Star Citizen, you're gonna have, I can have a team of 100 people with me, like actual players. Versus Squadron, maybe it's for resource limitations and all that, it's supposed to be on your machine. And yeah, if you're playing obviously with your friends, co-op is going to be online, but still, like maybe just for being able to get out the door faster and stuff, they might make it, or it's okay, you can have a team of 6 or something.
Yeah, don't know. But
we don't, we don't know. I'm just speculating there. What the actual thing, what the plan is. Nothing. I see nothing. I know nothing.
Damn you, data. Now you got me thinking.
You're welcome.
I will say regarding server meshing though, for the PU, first version is going to be static server meshing. We knew that. They talked about that in the server meshing back in earlier this year or late last year. It was after CitizenCon. So yeah, first version of server meshing will be static. So that means that because the way server meshing works is it's not going to reallocate. Normally, dynamic server meshing, which is the second version that they're going to implement, that will be okay. I have a javelin, but there's only one person on this javelin, so this javelin doesn't need a server dedicated to it. There's only one person. However, if you bring 100 people onto the javelin, now you're going to need a whole server or multiple servers that are being allocated to that javelin in game so that it can run and keep stable performance. That's dynamic server meshing. Static is just going to be, no, this thing's going to have just a server and that's it. So
There was a video I saw recently. Sorry, I don't mean to be cutting you off, Mando.
No, I'm
I
done.
thought
You're
you were done.
Hey, it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah, I deserve it. But
I saw what I think might be informative for other people. There's a raise guide to kind of what this server meshing thing is all about, and I think he does a fairly good job of kind of putting it into to street slang for those of us not really in the know. That might be informative for people to watch. I'm going to try and do some research to find it for you guys, and I'll provide a link. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I do have the CitizenCon Gen 12 Vulkan and server streaming video while we're talking about this, is like people can see, hey, there are videos that CIG themselves made talking about this stuff, so you don't have to take our word for it, and B, you can hear it from the sources Data mentioned. Put links for them in the description. But yeah, so that's server meshing stuff for Road to 4.0. They talked about 2022 testing and release cadence. So 3.18 requires a longer Evocati/PTU testing because it's going to have the physical cargo, the cargo refactor, and salvage pushed back to work with new tech, aka the persistent entity streaming. Due to the delay, 3.17.2 patch will bring new missions, locations, and gameplay instead, and at least 3 months PTU testing for 3. That's right, 3 months. Usually PTU is like 3 weeks. But hey, I honestly, as we were saying before, I think they need to get a new system. 3 months, every 3 months is clearly not the most optimal way of doing it.
I mean, we're talking about this like we know what's going on. I don't think
No, I can only talk about based on what I'm seeing, and it doesn't seem like 3 months is.
I think the idea of having a team do a 3-month sprint on a certain feature is, I mean, it sounds like a good plan to me, because I mean, whether or not they can get everything done, also have to remember that a feature could get 90% done and then get hung up because it's waiting on a dependency for something else.
That's true. I guess it really depends on what the feature is. Because some features, 3 months, no problem. Other features, it's going to need a year.
Yeah, and there's so many systems that are intertwined and have to work with each other that it's...
Like how many mission givers and all sorts of like dynamic mission, multi-stage missions waiting for because they rely on Tony Z's Quanta or Quasar simulation tech. So we're not getting them until those are in. You know what I mean? Like it's just, as you said, they're so intertwined that there's no point adding these even placeholder items when you can wait for the finished thing, since it's extra work to make the placeholder stuff. The chairman.
From my perspective, the 3-month cadence is I'm okay with it.
I've been trying to find a link to that thing. It wasn't Ray's guide. I gotta go search what other YouTube I might have seen it on.
All right, we'll see you in 2 days.
Yeah, I'm okay with them inserting anything into the patch line, like as long as it's it's conducive to the game. They're the ones developing it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if they need it, let them do it.
Let's see, there was the building for longevity as part of the release candidates. So 2022 is aiming to grow all company departments. This is not in-game, but the CIG in the studio itself. They're going to grow all company departments, opening 2 new offices in Manchester, UK, and Frankfurt. We got future planning for new Austin studio and upgrading the LA studio. So obviously the community management team just went to the Manchester office, right? We've got CitizenCon this year, a huge undertaking with lots of planning. Unable to plan shows currently. LA Convention Center imposes gathering restrictions. 70% of CIG moved offices. So CitizenCon will be virtual this year due to issues listed. 10th anniversary of CIG, as we mentioned, 2012 was the Kickstarter. No gameplay demo during keynote, which is going to piss off a lot of the community guys.
I know, but I mean, come on.
Anytime
they spend a ton of time working on in-game demos, half the community is like, "Oh, you're wasting all this development time." And then,
I'm glad that they're not, because of that reason exactly. I'm just saying a lot of the community guys, because they like showing the CitizenCon demo stuff as B-roll footage. Looks like they'll have to get creative. I'm just poking fun.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm like, yeah, spend time on what's important. You can do all the shiny stuff later if you have time.
So I get the allure of having a Star Citizen event in person, but really the amount of time and energy that goes into each one of those, I would be fine if they did them all online. Just had panels like they did last year.
Yeah.
They talk to people about things, and then you have everyone else just working on the game.
No, I mean, Carlson and I were on the same mind last year. We're like, hey, this was better than previous years because of the exact reason. You don't have to have an in-person event. If you want, as much as that sucks for people that want to meet up, there's nothing preventing people from just meeting up on their own, or the Bar Citizen event that happened. This one plus this way.
I think that's where they're going, because supposedly, I might not have been listening, but that's what Chris Roberts is saying they're going to do.
It's in the next
this year,
my notes.
Official Bar Citizen, Star Citizen sponsored Bar Citizen meetings.
Yeah, so Bar Citizen World Tour, 2 plus years since the last event. So they're gonna have a world tour kickoff in summer. Goes with In-Lore Holiday, First Contact Day, which is alien, where humanity first met aliens in Star Citizen lore. Hope is to solidify International Bar Citizen Day, starting off hosting events near dev studios in mid-June. Events will include goodies and dev interactions, part of CIG's 10th anniversary, events will spectrum. So, yeah, exactly what they're planning on making. Like, you want to do the meetup stuff that, back in old CitizenCon days, it's going to be Bar Citizen. Because it's not worth, because the Bar Citizen is a bit more casual, there's no prep, you don't have to rent a whole thing out, versus, CitizenCon, where it's essentially just, here's your privatized version of E3.
Well, also, to me, the big thing is that, those Bar Citizens, like you said, that them being a much more casual environment means that for better or for worse, there's a better chance that a dev is going to hear something from a non-CIG employee that puts a thought in that dev's head, and we see the benefits of that later on in the game. Because you go to a convention, those devs are in business mode, in the sense of, I'm here for the meet and greet, yes, let me sign your thing, next person in line.
But the priority is to do their panel and then go, and then that's it. Sorry.
You get you get a dev with a beer in his hand, and he's in a relaxed mood, and some player comes up and goes, hey, I really love how you guys have done this, and this, but I had this idea of this. And at the time, that dev might go, oh yeah, cool, yeah, that's an interesting idea. But 2 weeks later, he's he's hanging out around the water cooler with some other devs, and he says something about it, and boom, the next thing you know, we might have crossbows with ropes attached that allow us to haul people up and rappel down. Like that might be what it takes to get that happening. Which we find out it was Cam who was buying all the devs a bar tab.
Oh, more than that.
Oh no.
But so I think it's going to be a beneficial collaborative effect. Of course, we're going to see some stupid ass shit too. Hello Kitty is not going to be the bottom rung of stupidity.
Yeah.
Let's fix the Stark and stuff.
Yeah. But for just the overall idea of collaborative synergy, I think the bar citizens are a much better way to go, and they're much more enjoyable. I like hanging out at a pub drinking a beer, especially with people who want to talk Star Citizen. That's a good idea.
Wait. They still let you drink?
After what happened last time?
No,
Yeah.
I sneak it in as mouthwash, man.
Ah, that makes sense. Guards!
They still let you in though?
I'm good at disguises, okay?
It's really like the Groucho Marx glasses that have the nose and mustache.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm in complete agreement that I've never been a fan of these big giant symposium style events. They detracted from the game production too much, I thought.
Oh, you're not an Origin fan, I see.
What are you talking about? I have a 600. I didn't buy it, but I have one.
Sucks.
But the also for CitizenCon, it's pretty much expect a lot of panels like we had last year, with the devs just talking about their stuff, like what I'm showing on screen. And there's no planned Squadron 42 presentation. Emphasis on no planned one. There might be, but I doubt there's gonna be.
Sorry, I was stepping in for Cam there.
He didn't make a dad joke. Failed. But the final thoughts on the like literally from the chairman, letter to the chairman stuff, like his final thoughts were let's see, Galactopedia stuff, explored. No, wait, my mistake, not the Galactopedia stuff. Persistent streaming, server meshing, and Pyro are imminent, pushing to the end of year testing. Provided major changes, including physicalized cargo, bounty hunting version 2, which hopefully is a lot different and better than what we have now, and new events and missions enhancements to Jumptown, which hopefully means guns. Lots of AA guns. Corsair, Vulture, and Hull C are incoming with numerous quality of life improvements on the way. Big thanks to publishing team, live ops team, QA team, turbulent team, finance team, legal team, all the teams, every team, and you, the back.
Except for that one team that was specifically ignored here. Fuck you guys.
Yeah. Oh, just on a completely off-topic, funny comment. You mentioned the Hull A. I just heard that apparently, there's been some minor confusion in foreign countries of what the Hull A, how the Hull A is supposed to be pronounced, and I guess some foreigners didn't realize it. Like there's a Hull A, B, C, D. So because it's just the Hull A that's out, they've been calling it a Hulla.
Yeah, I figured that.
I was about to say, like, I can't imagine what else it's going to be mispronounced as. Hulla? Yeah.
Because it hull a lot.
Hulla.
It's a Hulla cool ship.
It's like Hulla. Raise the roof.
It's a pimp mobile. Hulla.
Exactly. Does it go back in time though?
Yeah, I heard that. I think it was yesterday. I was kind of laughing inside, and then you just mentioned it, and that's what triggered the thought.
Oh, you triggered him.
Triggered.
Oh no. It's bad enough I'm interrupting, now I'm triggering people. Now I'm going to be cancelled. So that's it for the
for a closing.
What?
For a closing thing, I thought one of the things that kind of surprised me, and I don't know why it surprised me, but when Chris Roberts talks about the uniqueness of the game, I thought he did a very good job of kind of just saying, this is what makes Star Citizen unique. And he basically says everything that we've just discussed about, like, you know, the fact that you can drop a coffee mug in a forest and fly away. You know, he wants you to be able to come back, or a friend to come back, or somebody else to just randomly run across it, and there it is. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't
And then they
exist
drink
in
the
any
cup
game.
of coffee. And I want appropriate
And it's
sound
gone
files
cold.
put in. No, I want appropriate sound files when you drink this rancid cup of month-old coffee, like your character they sip it.
Yeah. I want smell-o-vision, damn it.
Oh
I
no.
want to smell the
Oh,
rancid milk in
smell-o-vision.
a latte.
Go on, tell me more.
You're on your own with that one.
I don't know. Has anyone else ever spilled like a coffee with cream or milk in their car and then let the sun like get at it? That's
Not
one of
on purpose.
yeah. I don't need Durr,
Thank you.
but that's one of the worst smells in the world. It
Yeah.
is rancid milk cooked in the sun. Anyways,
We should end it on that. No, there's more. But wait, there's more.
No.
so yeah. Overall, I thought a really good letter from the chairman. Looking
Yeah,
forward
no,
to
it's
hopefully the same
good.
in future.
right. So we have like 3 Inside Star Citizens that we haven't covered in a while.
Outside Star Citizen.
Well, that's what we are. Oh, okay. So Inside Star Citizen,
Nice one.
Wear and Tear. So that's the one with the That was the one with the Cyclone rework, correct?
We talked about that one.
Did we?
Because we were talking about how we don't want the effects to be instantaneous. They need to be over time. So, like, when you're on a dusty environment, it shouldn't take just, like, 5 minutes of dust to
Oh
completely cover you.
yeah. Okay. Then which
Yeah.
one was the one with the Cyclone? I remember talking about.
Don't ask questions.
All right. That's it. Just there's gonna be there's silence now. That's gonna.
I don't remember talking about the Cyclones.
I don't
so
think
that
we
might
talked
have
about
been
the
one from you
Cyclone. So let's
guys.
talk about the Cyclone. So in Inside Star Citizen a few weeks ago, they showed off footage of the new Cyclone that they're working, or the new
Well, it's not just cyclones.
physics
it's,
for the
ground
Cyclone.
Yeah.
the rework of the ground vehicle physics. How the vehicle
Yeah.
will not just be flying like Cyclones tend to do a lot. Oh, it was in the all sprint report. That's my mistake.
What I saw, I like what they're doing. Correction. I like that they're dealing with it and they're trying to come up with something that's better than what we have. Not saying what we have is bad, but they're going for more realism. The one little thing that I saw that is just, to me, is kind of like, I guess, a personal annoyance is every time they jumped that Cyclone, it's like the minute it leaves the ground, the nose starts diving into the ground.
I think they're making
yeah.
it a bit too heavy there, and yeah. So again, but it's still a little bit better than what we
They're
have.
working on it.
But yeah, this is literally work in progress footage, so it's not going to be exactly like this when it is implemented. And as you said, yeah, I do like the Cyclone stuff even as it is now. I just don't like it in Star Citizen. I feel like it would be a good game, like a good racing style arcade thing. Yeah, but for Star Citizen, no.
Yeah.
I want vehicles, as they put it in the video, like, the vehicle should handle as you'd expect it to, not as an arcade thing. And again, like, the vehicle handling in Star Citizen is good, but not for Star Citizen. If that makes sense.
And I want it to be gravitationally effective in the sense that just because you know how to drive a Cyclone on Daymar doesn't mean that you're going to be just as good at it on, pick another planet with a different type of gravity mass on it. Like, I think that should be a learning curve process.
Yeah, like with the ships, where you're flying a ship in atmosphere on one moon, it's going to be very different than flying atmosphere on another moon or flying.
Yeah. And I think they'll get there. I'm not in no way am I implying that they won't. I'm just saying like that's my desired end state is that the vehicles are much more realistic and the gravity does have an effect. So you got to think about it.
Yeah. And I doubt that they're going to have this sort of stuff on first implementation. Maybe they will a little bit because gravity already does affect your vehicle and ship as of
Yeah,
right
they were
now.
showing
So
it. If you go up an incline, it'll
Yeah.
start to actually roll back down, and that's good. Like you need that.
And they showed off on the Ursa rover falling and how right now the Ursa rover will always try to make itself upright so that you land on your wheels, whereas by end game standards, it's going to go in all sorts of different directions because it doesn't have any maneuvering thrusters. It's not like you're just going to hover; you're just falling in a box.
If they're
With
going to
wheels on it.
implement this, I want them to implement winches on every ground vehicle because to me it would be insane not to have a winch if there's a potential of rolling over on a moon. Like that's just like
So,
survival basics 101.
and if they're going to do that, we need vehicle repelling.
Yeah.
I can go
Well,
down
it's
I can go
implied
down a
if you've got
cliffside.
winch. If you got a winch, that should be implied. Like it's
Exactly.
just-
And then they showed off some salvage stuff in it as well. It was a good of course it was a good Inside Star Citizen. Inside Star Citizen. I was about to call it an ATV because that's what they used to be called. But it's showing off a lot of was it the different caves, sand caves now? I think sand caves.
I can't wait to get collapsed in on.
Well, no, it's
you know
great because
what
it looks
comes
like
with sand caves. They're made by sandworms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, like, and they're adding freaking foliage to the river, like under the water. Like you're never gonna see it. You're rarely going to see
You
it, but
control
there it
the
is.
place.
Now, but once they figure out how to do that in a stream, then it's easy to do it in a lake or a sea.
Yep.
And now you got underwater structures.
Yeah. And they're moving, and depending on what they're made of, they'll be moving a little bit based on the water.
I mean,
That's what they were really testing there.
To hide your base, then the guy who's following you follows you up through a mountain pass, and there's just a mountain lake up there, and he flies by and doesn't realize that you dove down into the lake and you've got a little biodome underwater that you airlock in and out of.
Be cool. They also showed off the Corsair and all the panels and everything like that. And I mean, say what you will about Drake ships, but their consoles look.
The Corsair is gonna make a lot of people really happy.
Yeah. They also had different walking speeds for different AI, and they showed off AI landing ships at planetary outposts.
Yeah, that spline stuff that they're working on for ships looks really, really good.
Yep, especially since they mentioned like combat and hot drops and stuff that the AI could do with this, and like that's great. Like they're showing you how it's going in like work in progress with just being able to land, and they're telling you that it's going to be used for like, oh, now they're going to drop off a bunch of troops and fly off, and all these troops are now in front of you. Good luck.
One thing that popped into my head when I saw that, and I'm in agreement. Like what they showed us, that was really interesting, and I like what I'm seeing. The question that popped into my head is, will they give the AI some variance in their approach pattern in the sense of, okay, it's got a spline on how to get there, but maybe, and this kind of think of it, tie it into kind of what they had shown just previous to that, which is the different walking speeds of the AIs. Let's have different approach speeds that are, let's say there's a window of the right approach speed for the size of that landing zone, whatever it might be, whether it's a big giant open field or a tiny little grass meadow in amongst the trees, or light poles, whatever you want, but have a zone that is the correct approach speed for that landing zone, and then have the AI, depending on its capability levels, in other words, like how experienced it is, maybe have it have some variation in that speed. So you might actually see a cutlass come, winging in there, and he overshoots it a little bit, and now you get, he needs to do like a slide around effect, kind of like you would think of a helicopter, overshooting its zone and banking around and coming back in, and hitting the drop zone from the reverse angle. I'd like to see something like that for the ships flying. Just a thought that I had.
I mean, I'd love to see variety. Yeah, exactly, because they showed off with the walking animation right after in the video. So
Was it after?
it was after. But it's still like it was right, like they were side by side with each other in the video. So hopefully, we see. And then you'd think it'll be common sense. Like, okay, you'd have some AIs like a a delivery freelancer just gonna like come in slowly and take off slowly, whereas here's an enemy like an NPC enemy Valkyrie coming in, just gonna go land right in there, drop them off, and take off immediately.
Yeah, and if that AI has been doing that same Valkyrie job, multiple times, then he's got a higher percentage chance of nailing it exactly, perfect. Whereas maybe you have an AI that's not as good, and he has to come around for a second pass, or rotate around because he just overshot it by 5 or 10 flying knot speed to not be able to get it exactly that first run in, per se.
So my take on that is that for NPCs, it doesn't make sense for a company to hire an inexperienced pilot to fly a big ship like that. Unlike a player where it's part of our experience, and we can hop in a ship we've never used before. If you're going to go in lore with the company hiring an NPC, they would have to go through training and certification. They would know how to fly that ship. So maybe add some variance in like where they come down, whether they land right on target or not, like speed and ups and downs, which should be pretty easy to do with a spline. But I don't think it makes any sense for someone to come down like they're about to crash the entire time.
No, what you're saying, I absolutely agree with, but I'm not talking about just the companies. I'm talking about let's talk about like pirates. You might have a somewhat inexperienced pirate who's learning that new ship platform. He might have hours of flying, but maybe he's only got 3 or 4 flights in that one. And I'm not saying that he's always bad. I'm saying that there's just there's a 15% chance of him overshooting. I'm talking about a whole bunch of little variables, but I would say that like what you're describing, that AI is hired to be the FedEx delivery guy. He's got 100% because he's done exactly what you talked about. Like the company put him through flight training, so that guy's going to nail it every time. And he's also not trying to hot foot it in there with a combat load. He's just delivering boxes, so he's going to nail it every time. I think I'm talking more about like the combat AI side of the house, which is you've got pirates, or you've got I don't know, maybe some Marines, but again, they would have that training. So, but just saying a little bit of variance in that flight pattern is all I'm getting at. And I'm not even talking about the whole way in. I'm talking about like that last 15 seconds into the landing zone kind of a thing.
I get
where
you.
You might see that.
And I totally agree. And I expect that will be a thing because they've already said that different NPCs will have different traits.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll be good at different things. So.
Yeah, your FedEx pilot has that trait, so he just nails it every time. But put him under fire, and maybe he starts to behave a little bit more erratically. Yeah, he panics a little. I don't know. Add 15% to his, or minus 15% to his flying skills or something. I don't know. Like just variance. That's all I was getting.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That's actually one of the big things I'm looking forward to. Like one of the big steps forward in my mind is having AI flying around, not just on planet, but everywhere. Like space stations, between planets and space stations, between planets, all of it. Like, just to have some variants of AI flying around in the universe is going to be a big for me, is going to be that big step forward in that perception of a real universe.
Right.
I'm done, Mando. You can unmute.
No, I was just trying to think of what else to cover. I think that's the bit for this Insight Star Citizen. So the next Insight Star Citizen, this was last week's. That was tools time, right? We got obviously the tool programmer team. They talked about the tools that they're making in order to make the game. Obviously, talked about how links the game editor to any other programs such as Houdini, Blender, and Maya.
Oh, right.
And how the communication between the programs is two-way and procedural, so that they can essentially, hey, I made something in Blender, now I can easily port it to the game, to Star Engine, with no issues. Like that sort of stuff. It's just making their job easier so they can get things out faster and more efficiently. Because again, what a lot of people don't acknowledge is Star Citizen, yeah, they have a lot of money now thanks to over $400 million in crowdfunding, closing in on 500. And yes, they had a lot of time, but they don't have the experience or the resources to do this. They have to build it out as they go, and they have to, they're learning on the job with a lot of stuff. So this is part of that.
Away from that episode, but the one thing I had a laugh at is for anyone who watches it, it's a great example of seeing Disco Jared trying to shut down a conversation, and the team just kind of going, yeah, no, we're going to talk about this. And because he basically, like, they're in mid-sentence, and he kind of steps in and does his typical, lawyer speak of, anything that we're saying here is not, does not imply it's actually going to happen, blah, 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 let's move on. And the team is like, well, this is kind of what we deal with, so we're going to talk about this. I know you're trying to shut us up, Disco, but we need to talk. I had a laugh with that.
The truth cannot be silenced.
As you can tell, I'm not exactly a Disco Lando fan, in the sense of when he's performing his role on these shows, I find him somewhat frustrating. My opinion of him does not carry over to him personally, though. Like, I think he's probably a great person in person, when he's not wearing his community manager hat. But I just find on these shows that half the time he takes up showtime reiterating the same thing over and over again each time somebody starts talking, and I find myself just going, shut up, Disco. And I know why he's doing it. I totally know why he's doing it, because the community is stupid and there are those people who need it. I'm just, I'm that person who, like, I've heard it 15,000 times. I don't need to hear it again. But that's me. And I recognize that's me. But that, so this is just purely my opinion of my frustration with Lando is purely my own issue.
What do you mean by you people? No kidding.
What do you mean, new people?
What do you mean, purple peoples?
It's kind of like when you're in the military and you have to go through, like, continuous training because some E4 on the other side of the world fucked up, and instead of actually just doing the right thing and holding that one individual accountable and kind of, just spreading the word, like, hey, don't do this, some general decides, no, we're going to have mandatory training every Tuesday afternoon for a half an hour for the next 10 years because what that one E4 did. Like, that's when you're just like, this is fucking stupid. Shut the fuck up. Leave me alone.
Anytime you run into a stupid, ridiculous rule somewhere that you think is just retarded, it's because there was some idiot that did something that caused them to have to make that rule.
Absolutely. But that's also bad management, because you're
like when you see when you go to a zoo and you
you're
see
inhibiting everyone for one person's problem.
Right, like when you go to a zoo and you see don't feed the alligators mushrooms, it makes you go, what the fuck happened here? They had to make a rule for that.
Well, you see,
Yeah.
it all started.
But yeah. I didn't find, like I said, I didn't find that this last show that informative. It was kind of just them chit-chatting, per se.
Was this
Well,
the
this was
AI
not the last show, so I guess good.
Yeah.
The most recent one
I
was.
haven't even watched the latest one.
The latest
all
one
about
is
AI or whatever.
Onto the Breach, where they're talking about the Legionnaire and Invictus. Yeah, it's
Oh,
really
yeah, I haven't seen that.
yeah, it's pretty much in short. They talk about the story of Invictus. So for those who don't know, it's a bunch of lore stuff. I could talk about it right now, but honestly, you can just watch the video. It's not that long, and they explain it pretty well. But the Onto the Breach stuff was with the Anvil Legionnaire. It's a new ship. It's a boarding ship. Looks like a Pelican. Legionnaire is a two-man boarding ship with 8 boarders, fills a gap for lawful bounty hunting and less lawful piracy gameplay, and it has hacking capabilities for docking over. That's it. Like that's really all they really covered in the most recent one. And it makes sense because it was all we're focusing on Invictus right now, and probably the what's from face FPS event after Invictus.
How much of that event is PvP and how much is it PvE?
I was expecting it to be a lot of PvP, but from the one time I did it on first day of Invictus, when there was a fluke and it was in the PU, it was mostly PvE. We ended up having 2 griefers towards the end, but then the server 30k'd in typical Star Citizen fashion, so I never ran into them.
I figured out the video I was talking about was the Star Citizens Live AI roundtable.
Which one?
That's the one. But anyways, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. Which one was it? I didn't hear.
Star Citizen Live AI roundtable.
Oh,
Q&A.
okay, AI roundtable. That was the most recent one.
Yeah, that's the one that they're just like, shut up, we're gonna talk about this.
Let us do our thing.
That's
You brought us
AI,
here to
that could
talk.
be-
Speaking of,
Yeah, I have not experienced any of the Invictus stuff, so I have no knowledge. I've only seen one video, and that was Anvil Day, and it was just kind of like here's this ship,
yeah, and that's kind of like I want to avoid doing that just because like I did that last year, and it's like
yeah,
I'm not
for anybody
Astropub.
who's-
I'm not the best on the lore, and I don't have that charisma. So it's like leave it to the guys who can do it better. I'm just gonna go and have fun. I've been doing a lot of bunker stuff. I found a lot of subscriber helmets. One of the bunkers I did. I think my reputation with
Just a
Crusader
lot?
Security is boosting the loot.
You just found a lot, not a lottle? Which is like a little, but a lot.
Yes. But
leave it to Cam to be deep and thoughtful.
he's our philosophizer.
I mean, I did take philosophy in college. Was my minor.
Yeah, and
No,
what did
you
it do
have
for
to
you?
actually attend the classes in order for be a minor.
Minor? I barely know her.
We have Mr. Angel in the chat saying you guys crack me up and the spice must flow
Yes, it must.
Someone's getting the Dune
because we
reference.
mentioned the sandworms, so the spice must flow through the sand caves. So with the Anvil Legionnaire, there wasn't a Q&A, but they did do a little transmission for it. Just giving you a brief summary of what it has. It's got 2 crew, 8 jump seats, 2 size 2 remote turrets, 3 size 1 shields, heavy armor. Obviously, it's a docking override hacking device for its utility mount, and it's 32 meters length, 23.3 meters wide, and 10.2 meters high.
And I'll carry 8 boarders.
Yeah, 8 jump seats, boarding seats.
And roughly 500 pounds of C4. How do I know? Don't ask.
Just fill the entire room with just plastic explosives. It'll be fine.
For its price point, I actually think that it's a good ship.
Yeah.
In the but it's also very specific
Yes.
for its purpose, and I think people need to be very aware of that. Like you're only going to do one thing with it. You don't expect to be. It's not a hoplite. You're not going to go into a hot combat zone on the ground. You're not going to use it as a drop ship. It's not designed for that.
Not the Valkyrie.
Yeah, but for what it's designed to do and how much it costs, that's actually worth buying for those people who need that specific capability.
Like for a piracy ship. Like that,
Yeah.
This is a good pirate ship.
It's a good pirate ship, and I also think it's a good bounty hunter organizational ship.
Yes.
Maybe not necessarily for an individual bounty hunter, but for a bounty hunter that's going to work as a group, it could be a good ship.
Like
I
us.
think those two, yeah. And there's some one caveat, or not caveat, but something to think about that I don't think is being talked about in the community enough about this ship is the fact that it uses the airlock. That's a big deal in the sense that you're going to be able to really go in quick because it eliminates your EVA times, and EVA is a dangerous, like that's where you're going to lose people. Because the minute you sidle up to somebody and your team goes EVA, all of a sudden that ship starts, the ship you're targeting starts moving. Your whole EVA crew is fucked, and the ship that just dropped them off can't do anything because it might run over the EVAers. So it's a sitting target. So the fact that you can pull directly up to a boarding an airlock and go directly in, that's a pretty big deal for that ship. So that's why I think it's such a good deal for its price point.
And I agree with that. I'm just saying that there are other things to consider that I've heard other people point out, and that is, like, for instance, okay, you're in this docking collar, like, say, because they show off the Carrack at the end, right, and had a little Pico gun the guy down, but that is a very narrow corridor. A grenade or two is going to kill your entire boarding team.
Yeah, definitely.
But how many people are going to have a grenade ready to go?
No, I that's true. That was the counter that someone else brought up.
Oh yeah,
and that's, I like that. There's, okay, yes, you're, as you said, like you pointed out the positives, which you're going to be right there. It makes it faster. You can go in hard. Eventually, when we get boarding shields and smoke grenades or flashbangs, that's going to make that boarding thing a hell of a lot more feasible in that you'll have the element of surprise and you'll have cover with the smoke. But as of right now, it's very much a one-trick pony. But it's more of a, it is good at one thing, but it is very good at that one thing. That's kind of what I'm seeing it as.
Yeah, it's going to be a specialized tool, but if you take the time to learn how to use that tool, you're going to be very effective. Not saying that there aren't downsides to it, like you pointed out, absolutely. But if you train, you will know how to overcome those, or be able to overcome those downsides, those cons to it, I think, fairly effectively.
Yeah.
But it's going to take that training.
No, it's going to take that training with both sides of defending it and Blue 4 and Op 4 with those types of operations.
Yeah. Well, another downside, if we're talking about, is the fact that, if anyone recognizes that ship is coming up, because of how specific it is in that it needs the docking collar, all the target ship has to do is start rolling, and how hard is it going to be to dock when on a rolling ship that's trying to stop you?
Yeah.
You get too close and they.
Well, that's why it's got the
you.
e-warfare capabilities.
My argument to that would be that you would probably be disabling said ship first before you board it.
Well, again, that's tactics. Learning
right.
what
also,
works and what you need to do ahead of time before you actually, implement.
Yeah, and the ship does have limited e-warfare capabilities for being able to override, so it can forcibly dock with your ship. And I imagine it's going to have maybe a little other stuff like hacking into ship systems when that's a thing, because subsystems and stuff are going to be a gameplay feature for hacking. So. But yeah, exactly. Maybe you can, like, okay, we're gonna hack into the ship, stall their engines or do this or that, or you can do it just with fighter support. Like, okay, fighters take out their engines and then we'll board them, and take all their booty or whatever it is. If you're a pirate or if you're
That
a bounty hunting
booty.
side, you know, okay, our target's on that ship. We just need to get the one guy. All right, take out their engines, then let's get the guy and bring him back to our ship and get the hell out of here. You know.
Yeah, the e-warfare side is it's too big of an unknown. I have my own
Agreed.
personal views on what it could, how it should work, or what would make sense. But again, we have no idea what the devs are going to do. But go.
No, you go first.
No, I was finishing up, just saying. Overall, I think it's a good ship. It's actually worth, like, if I had to choose out of the ships that we've seen released recently, out of all the ships that I've seen, say in the last 6 months, this would be the one to buy.
I gotta agree with you on that. But I was gonna say that the e-warfare stuff, they have shown off a little bit over the last year. You know, they talked about hacking. They talked about the little terminal things, like how they're gonna rework hacking with, like, Korea. There's gonna be a little pop-up terminal. You have to do a little mini game. But the way they talked about it is like, they're gonna have subsystems and stuff like that. Yes, it is still an unknown. We don't know a lot of details regarding hacking. Like, how is it gonna be? What's the mini game itself? But we know that it'll be more in depth. No, I'm saying it's going to be more in depth than what we're initially led to believe years ago.
Yeah, the big question that I have about the they're saying that this thing has that e-warfare capability. To me, and this is purely conjecture. This is just me kind of putting my own thoughts together. But I would think that based on the price of the ship and the size of the ship and what its mission is, I wouldn't see it be much more e-warfare capability beyond being able to e-warfare, whatever the boarding hatch is that you're trying to open, and maybe like deadening the sensors that are directly around whatever that opening is. Because the reason I say that I think it'll be limited to that is because as soon as you start getting into things like, oh, I can go and tamper with the target ship's propulsion systems and shut them down, and maybe turn off all the security cameras in the ship, or things to that level where you're like reaching out deeper into the ship. To me, that's now you're starting to trigger systems that the people on the ship are going to notice much more quickly. Whereas if the ship just comes in and it has the ability to hack that door to make it open and maybe deaden the sensors so that the ship doesn't report that it has that door open, then you're still a much more stealthy attack, and the ship has that limited e-war capability in the price point that it's in. To me, that makes much more sense if I'm making sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's all going to be based on who's attacking whom, right? So, and what's their combat readiness? How good are they? And that's it. I hate to say skill level, but and that's kind of what it's going to be. Like, how skilled are you in doing X versus Y? And I'm not saying that regarding the hacking itself, but just okay, are you going to notice you're being hacked or not? Are you?
Yeah.
Which does play a little bit into the little bit we know of hacking yet and what we don't know, but just the idea of, okay, say you see the boarding ship incoming. We were talking about earlier with the Scorpius, where it kind of looks like an Aurora when the wings aren't deployed. So there's that false sense of security. You can be lulled into oh, this is the Aurora, we can take this guy out, and then all of a sudden, oh crap. With the new ship, the Legionnaire, it is more unique looking compared to other ships, so you are going to notice it. But, and I know a lot of people are kind of against what it is because it's a one-trick pony, but I'm thinking, if you're smart about using this ship, you're not going to be using it on its own. You're going to be using it as part of a fleet, or at least as part of some kind of attack convoy where there's going to be fighters that are going to be coming in first, and you're going to have to deal with them.
In an area that doesn't allow full sensor sweeps to be able to master.
Or something like that, yeah. Like, a dense nebulous cloud area, or something with a lot of asteroids.
Well, and we also, another caveat to throw into the mix that is, we don't know what house sensors are going to work. So right now your sensor is 360 degrees. You see anything that's coming in, provided it's giving you a big enough signature, but you read it. But they've also shown in the past in shows that they want sensors they want you to be able to hide behind an asteroid from sensors. So to me, that implies also that maybe some of your ship sensors maybe you're going to have one generic radar that just gives you, a 10-kilometer, anyone who's broadcasting, you pick them up, but it's a weaker signal. If somebody's, you might have other radar systems or sensor systems that are more directional in the sense that you need to actually be sweeping certain areas, and maybe parts of your ship will actually occlude that sensor from reading a certain direction, which requires you to, change course, kind of like a submarine can't see behind itself, so every hour or every couple hours, a submarine will make a 90-degree turn just to see what's behind it. So that may be something that's in the game in the future game that we don't know about right now. So you might be able to sneak up without ever being seen. We don't know. Maybe.
I just updated the description, so it has all the links to all the videos and the letter to chairman stuff.
That's Mando's way of saying, shut up.
No, my way of saying, look, I did work. See, I did work. Anyway, Mr. Angel's going in the chat saying firewalls and ECM will get more important than system hardening, plus ECM missiles, wild weasel missiles, stealth modes, cloaking perhaps. So we're not doing cloaking, but we are going to have stealth components that have lower EM and IR signatures.
I'm looking forward to the wild weasel stuff.
Yes, Crazy Ivan mode. Yes, that's Crazy Ivan mode.
Crazy Ivan, yeah, the submarines, yeah. But the electronic warfare, like I can't remember. Is it the Harbinger? Is that
Sentinel?
the?
It's the Sentinel.
Which one's? I'm thinking about the
Vanguard series. Yeah, it's the Vanguard
series.
Sentinel.
It's a Sentinel.
Yeah, Harbinger is the bomber variant.
Okay. The Sentinel one I find very interesting. The way they word the write-up on the Star Citizen site has some limitations because they're talking about it only does missiles, which I don't know if that's going to change and they'll actually give you an e-warfare suite on the ship. I think they will. I have nothing to base that on other than, just kind of general opinion of what the role of the ship should be. But I still think that whole electronic warfare will be very interesting if it's done correctly in the game. I think it'll be a force multiplier that a lot of people are going to overlook until they see it in when used properly. They'll see the magnitude of the effect that a single ship done properly can have on the outcome of a mission, and that's when people start going, "Oh wow, wait, but that's a whole avenue of gameplay I haven't looked into. I need to look at that."
Yeah. No, I agree. It's going to be one of those cases where it's like, yeah, I don't need to look into it until they again get hit by someone using it. And like, oh crap, maybe I should. Or it's going to be someone like, ooh, e-warfare, this sounds interesting. And then they dive deep into it and go, oh crap, the things I can do with this. And,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Shut up, Data. You're taking up too much time.
I'm multitasking.
What?
I'm multitasking. I've been practicing the club track this whole time.
You're doing the club track. That's right. We can utilize data for our own purposes now. No kidding. This is the club track, the one around our court.
On our corp, yeah.
Oh, speaking of the racetracks, did you see that video?
Dunlow Derby. Yep, I'm putting on the screen now.
Of the for the new racetrack that they designed at Horizon.
Yes.
Have you flown it?
I practiced it a little bit, but my free Pisces is bugged out and I can't claim it, so I'm gonna have to buy another one before I can in game, not for real, but
Can you
I have
do the
two
track
right
in
now,
Pisces?
Yeah, it has to be in a Pisces.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's kind of disappointing. I would think they'd allow you to use any ship and have different standings for the different types. Maybe
Oh,
that's in the
like
future.
categories, right? Oh, here's the Pisces
Yeah.
Pisces version of the race. Here's the like 300i version of the race. Yeah.
Yeah, because then you actually attract more people. Because one guy's like, "Well, I did it in a Herald," and another guy's like, "I did it in M50." So like that to me, that would draw more people instead of just everyone kind of goes, "Oh
Well, I
yeah,
think the
no,
reason
it's
is,
only a Pisces track," and
well,
that
you
one
get a
guy is
Pisces
really good
free.
in a Pisces, and that's all. I'm not going to bother racing because he already set the record that can't be beat.
Yeah, but
Well,
the reason for it is that a Pisces is everyone gets one free for Invictus, so
yeah.
everyone's gonna have one.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like in the future, if they expanded that race course to just be there permanently for anyone, any ship to try and pull it off, like that would, to me, that would draw more people to the event long
I
term.
agree.
Well, it was a collaboration between CIG and SCR.GG, which is
Star Citizen
time
Racing.
trials. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing. I'm not saying I'm not poo pooing it in any way. I'm just saying like later iterations or the expanded version, I see potential. That's all.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
by the way,
racing scene is definitely seeing some love from us, from the Star Citizen dev, so that's cool to see.
Also, that track has SCR written all over it. I have to say.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they're known for
it's
some
been
pretty
fun.
good tracks, and that's got that track specifically has their signature all over it. So, which is a good thing.
Well, SCR and XGR are not the same thing.
I'm more.
Okay.
We talked about this last night.
Did we?
Yeah, so the guy who created the SCR website is the one that collaborated with CIG for this race, and it was not tied to XGR at all.
Next year likes putting a lot of twists in their
I
tracks.
just vote we take the R's out of both.
Anyway, yeah, cool stuff. Fun
Yep.
times.
Cool. Yeah,
And
I saw that
the
video
club
and I was
track
just like,
racing.
Dad is going to be all over that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go.
No, I was saying the club track racing that Data's training on right now that's this Saturday, right?
But yeah, it's going to be this Saturday it's going to be really early for US people. I think it's like 6 in the morning.
I will not be able to attend or cover it.
And that's you mean 6 your time, correct, Data?
Yeah, Central, 6 Central time for me, I believe. I can
Good
double
luck
check
with that.
that.
I'm not waking up at 5 in the morning.
No, we'll
I'll
wake you
probably
up,
be
don't worry.
pulling an all-nighter to make it to that one. Not gonna lie.
No, and he's gonna Black Maze will probably put it on YouTube afterwards. So hit up the Black Maze YouTube channel to see it on YouTube.
Well, never mind. It's 10:30 a.m. for me.
Oh.
Oh.
Still not gonna be able to
That's
make
not
it.
good.
It's way later than I thought it was gonna be. That's interesting.
Yeah, I remember he said 6 something. Like, wait, that doesn't sound right. I was looking at it last night. And I don't remember it being a single digit.
I think you still need to try pull an all-nighter though. Just
Actually,
make
no, it
interesting.
was single digit, but not for me. It wasn't.
I mean, I may. I'm probably gonna be practicing for most of the day beforehand.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
gonna be some really fast people here.
you got to do it, like the athletes. You got to train to peak right at the time of the race. So don't do too much because then you peak before and then
Right.
that.
Yeah. So interesting. We have 42 people that are interested. So even if we get like 2/3 of that showing up, that is going to be crazy. It's going to be a massive amount of people out. That's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Chaos racing. That needs to be a team name.
Pretty much. It's going to be like maybe 5 to 7 people that are competitive and a whole bunch of obstacles. That's what I am predicting that. But I am looking forward to it a lot.
Well, good luck with it.
Thank you.
One of us has to be there on Saturday to cheer him on. Too bad we can't have little signs in Star Citizen that have, obscure messages.
Yeah,
on them.
that'd be really great. There were some people talking about trying to set up an observation ship, and that might be a thing. So if there's any space on the server and you're interested in spectating, I'd say head over to the XGR Discord and just put in the cup chat that you'd be interested in spectating.
Yeah,
and
or
if
it's
there are
it's going to
any
be
slots open. I'm sure they're going to try to get a full server. So
and it's going to be live on Twitch as well if you don't feel like going in game to watch it.
right, yeah.
Cool. Good to know. And where is the cup location?
Hardcore.
Do
So,
we know? We need to find out.
This specific race is going to be on RCorp. I think they've got it's total. There's going to be 7 Atmo tracks and 6 0G tracks. So it's going to
wow.
span
Okay.
the course of 12 months. It's going to be one race every month.
Okay. Gotcha. I thought it was just like one track and one set location. I didn't realize it was multiples. That's cool though.
Yeah, this is what the XGR guys have been working to set up a championship for a while. I think they've been working on this for about 8 months total, like getting the tracks worked out, and we've done a bunch of one-off races on, I think most, maybe all of them except for 1 or 2 of the 0G tracks. So they've been working on their production with the recording and commenting and all that.
Got
So
pretty well.
it should be it's going to be a really fun event to watch, I'm pretty sure.
Cool.
So if you're interested in racing and you happen to be watching our podcast, head over to xgr.gg. Actually, no, it's I don't even remember what the website is, but
I can find the link and put it in the description of
Okay.
the video later. So, because I'm in there, so I can just make a link, put it in the description.
Yeah.
The description. I can also put it in the comment section and pin it. This way, people see.
But I've been having a blast doing racing. I think I've found my favorite thing to do in Star Citizen at the moment.
And Data is indeed a racing pro in XGR. He's won a few races to toot his horn for him.
I've actually won a few. Yeah, I'm surprised, but we've got some really fast people going to be in the cup. Do you know who Splin is?
Mm-hmm.
He has the world record time trials for the Arena Commander tracks, the race tracks. I think he's got all the world records for those tracks. So he's exceptionally fast in 0G, and he's getting really fast in Atmo too. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to win. There's a bunch of things that could happen with 30 people racing. So
All at once.
yeah. So
At
there's
that
gonna be
RCorp
10
map?
heats. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's going to be
Oh,
So
10
these are
heats
crash
total.
derbies. This isn't a race. This is a crash.
It is. I've done some of the track with Data a few times, and that track, even the pros get crashes a lot.
It definitely takes some time to practice if you want to be quick. I think I've got it down now. I can do
The first
consistent
step is to
laps back to
memorize
back,
it and then learn where the tricks are, the speed tricks are, in the
Yep.
turns mainly. I just love that when we did that mock race, and I was the only one that managed to finish a single lap and then blow up.
Yeah.
None of us
Well,
made
if
it
I was
past
gonna
one.
do it, I'd do it in that mine layer and just leave mines behind me as I go.
Noted. Ban call sign.
Well, what was that in Cannon? Was it Gumball Rally, right? What is behind you is not important.
Yeah, right.
Cool,
Um,
cool.
Mr. Angel in the chat saying 100% regarding our talk on the e-warfare stuff, saying ECM and electronic warfare deepens the game and it's fun, also skill challenges that is fun. And yeah, like, just on the topic of skill challenge stuff, the racing is one of the best examples of it, but also, in games like, say, Deus Ex, where the original Deus Ex, where your aim obviously you're not increasing like, oh, there's no stat thing for your gun and you're making the bullet do more damage. No, the bullet's the same damage throughout the entire game. It's your aim that's improving over the course of the game. And I like that, it's skill challenges based on realistic things. Obviously in Star Citizen they're not really do that. Your aim is going to be based on your actual aim ability with a mouse or controller or whatever the hell you're using for control scheme, but it's all going to be about how you use the tools at your disposal and what tools you're using to begin with. And I'm showing the footage of you winning the river race on the screen right now.
Oh, sweet. That was also a really fun track.
That was probably the best one I've seen so far. Not just because you won, but that was a big part of it, but also just the production quality they got at that point when they were showing the race. I still need to hit Black Maze up about that. Oh, he almost crashed into that guy there. It was a Heat 2.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The guy like right on top of you.
Well, guys, I gotta bail out. I gotta go do some IRL stuff, but good talk, and look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yep.
And if I don't catch the game, good luck, Data. Win one for the team.
All right, we'll do. I'll do my best. That's for sure.
Remember, I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you.
All right, guys, take it easy.
You too.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, so I think we're gonna shut down here as well pretty soon. But last thing, obviously, it's Invictus. Should we talk a little bit about Invictus and what's going on, or in the event afterwards? And then I guess I don't know about you, but Cam, I think I'm gonna hop in game for a bit and hop into the Discord server. But pretty much, Invictus is live right now. Obviously, it's a military recruitment drive / military holiday. So a lot of military ships on display at an expo center in Morrison on Crusader. All the ships are free to rent. Like, you have to go to the expo and rent the ships at the expo, but every ship is free to rent for 48 hours. They're doing it by manufacturer. So today is Aegis. Tomorrow is going to be RSI, RSI, Origin, Consolidated Outland, and Argo. So you're going to have 4 manufacturers tomorrow. So a lot of ships on display, including the Scorpius. I think Crusader is the next day. Then it's Drake. What's the schedule?
No, they've got a couple others in there. I think is Drake is going to be.
Oh no, Crusader and Tumbril on the same day. That's right.
Okay. Drake is going to be on the last day, which is Friday, right? Or is it Saturday? I don't even remember.
No, it's Saturday, I believe.
No, it's the second to last day. It's the day before.
28th?
Oh, that's right, because the last day they've got everything available.
Yeah, the last day is always all ships. Which, yeah, if you go to the expo on the May 30th and May 31st, which are the last days, you'll have a terminal that has every ship currently in the game that you can to fly for 48 hours. So
I'm not sure if it's every ship in the game, but every ship that was displayed in the event.
Which is, yeah. Obviously not every ship in the game, because you're not going to be able to fly freaking F8 Lightning or F7A or Idris, but all the ships that you can currently fly in a game, you'll see in that.
Well, this is military, right? Do they have all of the civvy ships out also?
They usually do. I mean, all the civilian, like, technically the F7C is a civilian Hornet, so yeah.
Yeah, but it's meant for military operations.
Yes, but
I guess it does have
it's
the
not actually the
cargo thing. So yeah.
Yeah, and you're gonna have MISC, so they're and yeah, they have military ships, but it's gonna have everything because they want people to be able to test out all the ships during the free fly.
Did they have the reclaimer?
I haven't been there yet today, or yesterday for that matter, so I have no idea. But usually they have the reclaimer in the main room, right there. So.
Wait, who makes the reclaimer again?
Aegis.
Okay, so I went there yesterday and they did not have the reclaimer.
They didn't? Okay.
No reclaimer, no freelancers.
Well, they wouldn't have the freelancers, that's MISC.
Oh, MISC, right. Yeah, but they did not have the reclaimer there, so.
Okay, so maybe it's just the military ships.
Yeah, because Invictus is a
It's a military,
themed.
yeah, as I said, the recruitment drive / military holiday for
Yeah. The AIE is where they have
IAE,
just about
yeah.
everything out.
But
Or
yeah, for
IA,
instance,
yeah.
Invictus, it was this military holiday in lore, started in 2542. During the First Tavaran War, ships weren't as common back then, so the Navy had to go around collecting recruits annually. It evolved into a focused celebratory event with recruitment alongside it. Now it exists as a way to drum up support for the Navy in terms of recruitment and military patriotism. Not without controversy, some say it costs too much taxpayer money and exists to market to ship manufacturers, foregoing truly showing off the Navy and what it represents. But I like that little bit of lore stuff. And yeah, that's Invictus. It's pretty fun so far. I mean, look, if you've never been at Invictus, it is definitely I recommend going every day and just experiencing it. But
Yeah, it's a
we've
lot of
done
fun.
it. This is our third year now that Invictus has been in game. First year was at ArcCorp. Second year was at Microtech.
I mean,
This
if
is
you
the
say
third-
so, I can't keep track of it anymore.
It's been a few times, is my point.
No,
We've
it's been
seen
like
it
4 or
all.
5 because we had it at least once at ArtCorp, which I think was when ArtCorp first came out.
It was
We
that
had
year.
it like 2 or 3 years at
New Babbage, right?
Microtech.
Well, we
Yeah.
had 2 years of events at
Ugh.
Microtech. But remember, that was a IAE as well, which is essentially we're getting the same event twice a year.
Yeah, I think we then also had. Did we ever have it at Hurston?
I think
Not
I think it
Invictus.
was.
Not Invictus. IAE we did, but not Invictus.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I feel like I'm forgetting one.
The current one at Crusader.
No.
Remember, the first IAE was in 8, right? That was at Hurston. Then we had 19. 2019. That was at ArcCorp, and then 2000. And this is just with IAE stuff. I think Invictus came out. So that was 2019. 'Cause that was when ArcCorp came out. So that was it 2020? To the internet for answers. Okay, so the first one was at ArcCorp in 2020. Second one was also at ArcCorp. No, wait. Yes, the second one was also at ArcCorp, and then the third one was at. It doesn't make sense. It was at New Babbage. Okay, so this site doesn't even make sense. Damn you, Star Citizen Tools! It says ArcCorp twice, but it also says 2020 twice.
Those bastards.
Okay, so 2020 was ArcCorp, 2021 was New Babbage, and now we're at Crusader at Orson.
We've
only had 3. This is the third one.
No, we've got to be at more than that.
No, ArcCorp only came out in April or May of 2019, and the first one was at ArcCorp, at least in game.
Really?
Yeah,
Feels like it's been so much longer.
because we had the IAE, which is a very similar event.
Maybe.
Because the first one, remember,
Or
the
it's
first one was
just
at
that-
ArcCorp. It only had the Javelin Idrises flying around. Last year was the first time we had the Javelin docked that you can tour the inside of. And you had the Bengal carrier show up. That's the same thing this year. IAE we've had since 2018, where it was at Hurston, then it was at ArcCorp, then it was at New Babbage, then it was at New Babbage again, and this year we're probably going to get it. Orson. We've been doing this for a long time, haven't we?
Yeah.
And Mr. Angel's wishing you good luck on the demolition derby. Says, good night, guys. Happy hunting and good luck at the demolition. You know that's what it's going to be.
For most people, yeah, probably for a large part of the field, is going to be a lot of booms. I'm hoping to try to avoid all of that, but yeah, we'll just have to see how it plays out. There are no guarantees.
Use the geometry clipping to your advantage, okay? No, I'm kidding.
But it's there's 10 heats for the people that are going to race in the pro race to make it. So you get 10 chances.
I only need one once I kill off all the other competitors.
I mean, you kill them off, and then they'll have more use their other chances.
We just need to hire someone with an A2 to come by and bomb the rear of the field right before we take off.
No. Have someone with a retaliator so that they can torpedo all the other contestants.
Retaliator, right?
Precision strikes, okay? Or have someone on the area where the ships are landing at the start and just railgun each ship as they're flying.
Be like racing over Tatooine with Tusken Raiders in the hills.
Yeah. Except that every time someone fires the railgun, they have to go Gungala, and then fire it.
Anyway, look at destruction. So, we got anything else here? Or...
I think we're
I think
done.
I'm good to quit here. I'm getting a little tired.
So, yeah, I guess that's gonna be it. I know I was originally planning on doing like a live, do gameplay live while it's streaming to YouTube, but YouTube fucking sucks, man. If I'm gonna stream it, I'm gonna stream it to Twitch later. Just so much better. So, I guess now, if anyone is still watching, I'm probably gonna move over to Twitch, do the live stream for the gameplay stuff there. You guys want to move over to the Discord server to continue playing a game and doing shenanigans, or
maybe?
Alright, well, that's gonna be it for now. Cam, give us a ending message to sign off on.
Well, I guess all I can say is until you see us next, or we see you next.